welcome to the channel, and welcome to this review of Battletome, Sons of Behemat. That's right, folks, GW have been kind enough to send me the Destruction Battletome, Sons of Behemat, free of charge for your reviewing pleasure. Look at that cover, it's so cool. It's so cool. It's got a big stumpy giant thing on it. Oh yes. So without further ado, here we go. Flavor text first at the start of the book. I always like these. The earth shakes, the land cracks, beasts flee en masse from the dust clouds on the horizon, and the ears of mortals are filled with the bellowing roars that grow ever more deafening. There is only one explanation: the sons of Behemat are coming. In all the realms, few creatures are more terrifying than these gargants. The smallest are as tall as a Sigmarite temple, whilst the largest are almost too huge for the mind to process. Titanic slabs of muscle, hunger and battle lust. They go where they please, fight what they choose, kill and loot whatever they desire, and they dare anyone to tell them they can't. To a gargant, strength alone defines one's place within the cosmos, and they have strength in abundance. Their fists are powerful enough to smash down fortress walls, and their feet can kick a raging dragon into submission. What they can do to those smaller creatures caught up in their trampling path is best left unconsidered. There was a time when gargants were content to be solitary beasts, roaming the hinterlands and intruding upon mortal domains only rarely to raid their cities and make off with their livestock and treasures. But ever since the death of Behemat, the World Titan, the legendary god-beast ancestor of the Gargant race, a strange, brutal animus has overcome these creatures. With every passing season, the strongest titans grow larger and larger, their power swelling as never before, and serving to draw their lesser kin to their side. Worse still for anyone who would face them, the Gargant clans have begun to move with purpose. No longer are they satisfied with simply engaging in sporadic and instinctual violence against the pipsqueaks. Now they march against all those who they deem to be their enemies with increasing fervour. Driven by the rage of Gur that thrashes and howls in their brutally uncluttered minds, this is an era of beasts and blood, where only might makes right, and to the children of the World Titan, this suits just fine. I don't know why I can relate to these, but I feel like I can relate to them. So what have we got? We've got a double page, The Spawn of the World Titan. So it talks about the Age of Myth and Behemat's sire, the what's it called? I keep wanting to say Ymgar, but they're gene stealers. Damn it, can't see it. Maybe it's on the next page. We've got a very nice double page picture. I would love to have artwork of this on the wall, of mega-gargants fighting Stormcast Eternals. We've got some heroic charges from Vanguard Paladors and Judicars and Paladins and all sorts. And then we've got War Stomp and mega-gargants bellowing and swinging their clubs, gate breakers hurling pieces of smashed cities at them on chains and ropes to a background of burning and destruction. Love it. Here we go. Here's the page. The Father of Gargants. So it talks about Ymnog and how Ymnog spawned Behemat and Behemat's two siblings. And the how Behemat was how Gorka Morka was very fond of Behemat and used to set Behemat ridiculous challenges. Go on, do this, it'd be a laugh. Bet you can't. Bet you can't. Bet you can't. Bet I can. And Sigmar noticed. Then it goes into detail about where when Sigmar fights Behemat, he doesn't kill Behemat. Behemat goes to sleep, and then during the Age of Chaos, in Gyram, the Chaos worshippers try and corrupt him, and the Storm hosts enlist the help of the Gargants to try and save him. But when the Storm hosts see that he is corrupted, Sigmar kills him. So the Gargants, not a fan of Sigmar. They couldn't kill him in a fair fight, so they waited till he was on the floor and then stabbed him. That's what they see. Then a bit about the greatest Stomp and Kragnos. Nice. The land of Titans. Grr. And the creepers, which are the tiny little red things that are crawling around on King Brod. Which they're sort of, are they goblins? Are they Skaven? Are they random little demon things? No one knows, but they plait their beards. They plait their beards and they weave bones and skulls into them and they decorate them really nice. Stomping lands. So we've got a map of parts of Gur. We've got Antor, Thondir, Gallet, Bjal, and Rondhol, Lendu, and we've got where the various Stomps, which is the name of a group of giants, and where they travel to, and there's little footprints on the map. They stomped this way. Not arrows, not migratory path for bison. No. Stomp, 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 stomp. Then it's been a long week. Then we've got the obligatory couple of pages about little vignettes around the Age of Myth, Age of Chaos, and Age of Sigmar. Then we have the structure of the Stomps and the walking disasters. There's a couple of interesting things here. And I'll be honest, I don't know how much was in the previous book or not, but it talks about the form of the Stomp, and it's basically Gargant society. They revere might, and they basically follow the one who is biggest. So the one who's in charge is the biggest and nastiest, and they will all mimic the big heel is the person in charge. That's what they're known as. So if they're a gatebreaker Gargant, the whole Stomp will emulate their style and their mannerisms, because they will be looking to ape their hero. But then there are other large ones who are under the heel. They're the immediate rivals to the big heel. They're possibly either their offspring, their siblings, and should the big heel be injured or show weakness, they'll be there to club them in and take their place, and then the nature of the Stomp will change. And then you have the foot sloggers, who are basically the Mancrusher Gargants. What is quite interesting is on the artwork here, we've got the mega-gargants are in large little circles, and the Mancrushers are in small little circles. But then there is an intermediary size of Gargant. Now, there isn't in the book. There's no other unit. But I wonder if that's a nod to something that GW are thinking of doing or planning on doing in the future. Something intermediate in size between Mancrusher and Mega. I don't know. It would make sense. It would be... I'm building one of these armies at the moment, and... they're kind of, not vanilla, but, in a 500-point block, you can either have 3 Mancrushers or a Mega, give or take. Which is... There's not a huge amount of variety. An intermediate size would be really good. One moment. Second one of these I've done to date. Thirsty work. Yeah. Then we've got a section on behemoths for hire. The first gargants that worked out they could get given stuff by fetching and carrying and stomping for the pipsqueaks, and they would be a steady supply of stuff if they kept doing it. And if the supply of stuff ever ran out, then they could eat them. So there's a bit of a, I don't know if it was in the previous book, but there's a bit of a history of gargants being sort of mercenaries. And there are some rules for it, which I was very pleased to see. Then we've got a double page on Kragnos. Then we have a page on King Brod, who is basically a priest. So he can do prayers and stuff. Oh yes. The beast smashing mega-gargants, who are essentially drunk and deranged. They are constantly under the thrall of Gorka Morka, and they are crazy. And Gargant mothers warn their children to stay away from the beast smashers in case they go a bit nuts too. Reading how crackers they are, it does make you wonder how you can actually get them into a stomp, because it talks about all. This is one of my observations of the book and Sons of Behemat in general. They talk about the types of mega-gargant, the beast smasher, the kraken eater, and all of them, and they all sound so tapped. There's very little reason for them to ever collaborate or cooperate with other gargants. There's reasons why they would be shunned, and it would be the exception rather than the rule. There's no sort of standard mega-gargants in the same way that there's a standard Mancrusher. That's my observation. So then we've got Kraken Eaters, and they're basically the old gargants who get just as much pleasure by sitting by the sea in their cave on their own, watching the water go back and forward as they do smashing stuff up. They're the cantankerous old goits who just want a quiet life and don't really bother about the young uns, which again makes it difficult to have them in your force all the time, because again they should be the exception, right, based on that, in the same way that the insane beast smashers are an exception, and these are an exception. The War Stompers, there's a double page on War Stompers, and they basically talk about they just want to fight and never ever ever stop fighting, to the extent that when they sometimes get hired as mercenaries, they'll play both sides off each other just to keep the war going. Then a double page on Gatebreakers. Now they talk about these being massively antisocial and just want to wreck stuff and not getting on with other gargants, are spending a lot of their times around the undead, and they go kind of weird and pallid and kind of deathy and chaosy. These are definitely the finished. They don't play nicely with other gargants. So we've got a list of ones that really don't play nicely with other gargants, which is So I went through the first one. Thinking, okay, maybe I won't build a Smasher Gargant. Okay, I'll do a Kraken Eater. Oh, maybe I won't do a Kraken Eater. They live on their own, and so, oh no, these ones go off on their own. So am I left with just the War Stomper? I don't know what to do. I could do King Brod, but yeah, I don't know. I'll have to work that out. Anyway, Mancrusher Gargants. It's quite nice. It talks about the difference between the Ale Guzzlers and the Mancrushers, which I won't go into, but it explains them quite nicely, and it sort of goes into why the Ale Guzzlers are solitary and end up often working for other factions and other things, but the Mancrushers are mobs that tend to follow around the Megas. That's quite nice. I like the way they've done that, the way they've explained that. Then we've got some really nice artwork. We've got, I mean, they're all just really good. We've got stomps against plague demons. We've got King Brod. Stomps against Lumineth. It's a really nice perspective, this shot. It's like there's like the ankle of a mega-gargant right in shot in the corner, and you're looking at it from the perspective of the elf. So you're looking up at these mega-gargants, and they look really cool. They look really cool. Then we've got Beast Smasher, Kraken Eater, Gatebreaker, and War Stomper. Then we've got, this one looks like it's done out like a Dwarden Hold. Yeah, with Dispossessed. It's very dark and dingy, and yeah, that's very cool. Then we've got a Stomp against Soulblight. Again, in some dark, nasty caverns. Then we've got a massive Stomp of mega-gargants. Of gargants, man-eaters. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's a huge Stomp of them. Then a big Kragnos lead Stomp against some Sylvaneth. Oh, so much stomping. I mean, how many megas is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 megas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 man-eaters. 6 man-eaters and Kragnos against like 500 points of summoner that are about to get their teeth kicked in and eaten, but that's very nice. It's all wooden. Then we've got painting guides, dark skin, pale skin, different skin variants. There are some very good videos on Warhammer TV about Gargant skin painting. I've been watching a lot of them. Algae encrusted toenails, rotten teeth, grey hair, fungal toenails, fiery hair, bone, different cloth types that are all sort of woven together. All sorts of cloth variants. Makeshift armour, the various different armour plates. Some turtle hide. Some kind of lizardy hide type thing. That's very cool. I'm going to use that, absolutely. That's a sort of whitey grey. Oh no, it's on a Kraken Eater. Never mind, probably won't. Wooden hull, horns, fur, driftwood, repurposed cannons. Then we're into the rules. Then we are into the rules. So, there's some good stuff in it. So we have basic allegiance ability, basic battle traits. So mightier makes rightier. So each Gargant counts as 10 models on objectives. Each mega-gargant has a degrading profile on their stat line for how many models they count as on an objective, which is cool. Then there is a rule called Lord and Master, and basically, depending on who your general is, so all of the, and I don't think they were before, but I didn't have the book. So the megas are all heroes, so they can issue commands, they can have traits, they can do everything a hero can do. Who your general is determines the type of tribe you have, because the rest of the tribe will always try and mimic the big heel. They will aspire to be like them, and so you have 4 different tribe types. If your general is a Kraken Eater, you are the Taker tribe. The Breaker tribe, your general must be a Gatebreaker. The Smasher tribe, Beast Smasher. Stomper tribe, War Stomper. And there are additional abilities for each tribe. Not only are there different abilities, there are different command traits and different artifacts of power. Very similar to 40k in that sense. There are a very small number of generic ones, and then there are specific ones for each tribe. However, there is also the Wrath of Titans rule, and there are 3 new monstrous rampages that a mega-gargant can carry out. So, Beast Grapple. Pick one enemy monster within 3 inches and roll a dice. On a 3+ until the end of the combat phase, the strike last effect applies to both the monster and the unit carrying out this monstrous rampage. So, you can basically grab a monster, and okay, they're not going to hit. If they charge you and you beast grapple them, you're both going to strike last rather than them auto striking first, which means they can't be used to attack another unit within 3 inches. Yeah, that's what that does. Earth-shaking roar. Okay, pay attention to this one. Pick an enemy unit with a wounds characteristic of 1 or 2 within 3 inches of this unit and roll 2d6. If the roll is higher than that unit's bravery characteristic, for each point the roll exceeds the unit's bravery characteristic, one model in that unit flees. The unit's commanding player decides which models flee. The effect of this monstrous rampage is not considered to be a battle shock test. So, if you are immune to battle shock, this still applies. It's an earth-shaking roar. It's primordial energy. Skeletons might be immune to battle shock, but they are shattered by the sound and the force that it kicks out. Sorry. So many things have bravery kicking around the 7 mark, which means that on average you're going to do something to them with this. And then Colossal Slam. I mean, I don't really see the point much in this other than it's lots of fun. So pick a monster that's not part of a unit that contains 2 or more models, so a solo monster that's within half an inch of this unit. So it can't just be within 3, it's got to have got really close. On a 3+, roll a dice, on a 3+, you can remove that monster from the battlefield and set it up anywhere wholly on open ground within half an inch of this unit. That monster suffers D3 mortal wounds. In addition, subtract 1 from hit roll. That's the point. Subtract 1 from hit rolls by attacks made by that unit. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by the unit carrying out this monstrous rampage until the end of the following combat phase. But what it lets you move them. Oh, you're in range of my Mancrusher gargants, are you? Boom! No, you're not. But I wanted to kill the little ones. I love that. I love those. They're great. Okay, so the 3 generic command traits, or big personalities. Monstrously tough. The general has a wound characteristic of 40 instead of 35. Furious temper. Once per battle, you can use the top row of your damage table. And Rabble Rouser. Add 1 to charge rolls to friendly Sons of Behemat units wholly within 18 inches of this general. They're your 3 generic big personalities. So you can take any one of those or one of the specific ones for your tribe. Artifacts of power. Titanic trophies. Extra calloused feet. This general has become so used to stomping on even the toughest enemies that their feet are legendary weapons in their own right. Models armed with an almighty stomp only, which I believe is a mega-gargant ability. The almighty stomp has an attacks characteristic of 3 instead of 2 and a rend characteristic of -2 to 3 instead of -2, and a damage characteristic of 3 instead of D3. So their feet become 3 attacks, -3 rend, 3 damage. The glowy shield of protectiness. When the unit's targeted by an attack, if the weapon is rend -1, it becomes dash. And if an unmodified save roll is a 6, the unit suffers a mortal wound. While raiding a lair belonging to the ratty pipsqueaks, this gargant found a shield studded with sickly green rock and promptly strapped it to their body. Enemies who get close sometimes have their heads explode, which is always good for a laugh. Scavenger Wake. Once per battle at the start of the combat phase, you can pick an enemy unit within 3 inches of the bearer and roll a number of dice equal to the number of models in that unit, to a maximum of 10. For each 4+, the enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. The gargant is followed by various wolves, blood vultures, and other carnivorous creatures looking for an easy meal. Though these beasts tend to prefer carrion, sometimes a cat walks in front of them and they can't finish reading it. Sometimes their hunger gets the better of them. Don't go that way! Go pick a place and sit in it, Lemmy. I mean, she's right here. I mean, like my finger's touching the tip of her head. Well, she's dipping her head now, but she's right here. Look, there's an ear. There's an ear. It's not a lie. It's not a lie. And the last one is the Amber Bone Totem. I haven't read this before. The unit can attempt to charge even if they ran the same turn. Okay. I think I need a drink after that. Empty. Sorry. Bear with. I mean, I could have paused it, but you get to look at the pretty picture. And we're back. Okay, so now we're on to the different tribal allegiances. So the Taker tribe. This is the Kraken Eater one. So the Kraken Eaters tribe. Taker tribe battle traits. Get rid of them. For the purposes of contesting objectives, Mancrusher Gargants count as 15 rather than 10. In addition, add 5 to the mightier makes rightier value for the Kraken Eater that's contesting an objective. So, objectively holdy. And then, I want that for my collection. Kraken Eaters are avaricious hoarders who love collecting all kinds of baubles and artifacts, even the ones that are too small for them to use. Command ability to start the combat phase can only be issued by your general, and the unit receives it must be a Mancrusher Gargant unit. Until the end of the phase, add 1 to the damage characteristic of attacks made with the melee weapons that target an enemy unit that bears an artifact of power or is unique. So, unique units or artifact of power units, add 1 to the damage characteristic of the Gargant's weapons. So if you're putting that on a mob of Mancrushers, they've got 3 weapons. They've got a massive club, an headbutt, and a mighty kick. And depending on the damage, that's a total of 6 attacks. So 1, 2, 3 extra attacks. So up by 50% potentially per Gargant if that's in a unit of Mancrushers. Not bad. Oh no, sorry, that was battle traits. That wasn't command traits, but that was a command ability the general can issue. So the command traits, very acquisitive. If you give an artifact of power to this general, you can pick an additional artifact of power and give it to them as well. Both artifacts must be different. Extremely intimidating. Enemy units within 6 inches of this general cannot receive inspiring presence or rally commands. It's nice. It's nice. And then artifacts of power. There are 2. The Walloping Tentacle. Sorry, I'm such a child. At the start of the combat phase, pick an enemy hero within 3 inches of the bearer, roll dice on a 4+, the hero suffers D3 mortal wounds and the strike's last effect. Because he's been walloped with his walloping tentacle. And there's also the glowy lantern. Stolen from the elves of Haish. After a botched alliance, this ether quartz jar was at first carried around simply because it was shiny. However, over time, it has granted this mega-gargant control over malign sorceries. Okay. In your hero phase, the bearer could attempt to cast... In your hero phase, the bearer can attempt to cast one spell that summons an endless spell in the same manner as a wizard. When they do so, the range of that spell is doubled. So that's interesting. So if you are a Kraken Eater and you've got the glowy lantern, you can take endless spells. Now, one of the drawbacks of Sons of Behemat is that because the units are all so expensive, you're often left with a big chunk of points that you can't squeeze something into. So you might have like 50, 60 points that you can't do anything with. And a spell. Interesting. So that's the Taker tribe. Now the Breaker tribes. This is the Gatebreaker mega-gargant. Now the battle traits. Breaking down the houses. Add 1 damage inflicted by each successful attack by a Mancrusher gargant that targets an enemy unit that is part of a garrison or wholly on a terrain feature. Ramming speed. It's a command ability that can be issued by to a Mancrusher gargant unit. They can declare a charge within 18 inches and they're all 3d6 rather than 2d6. That's nice. Fierce Loathing. When you pick a Breaker tribe army, you can pick one of the Fierce Loathings below and record it on your army roster. It applies to Gatebreaker and Mancrusher gargant units. So if you've got other mega-gargants that are not Gatebreakers, does not apply. Yeah, a lot of these say they apply to Mancrusher gargants and to... Yeah, this going back over here is Mancrusher and Kraken Eater. This is Gatebreaker and Mancrusher. I imagine we'll see that pattern repeated. Mancrusher, 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 Mancrusher. Yeah, okay. So they don't want you using these abilities on the under the heel gargants. So you're the I'm going to say super heavies then. You're the mega gargants. Bossy boots and clever clogs. What is it with pipsqueaks bossing others about or pointing at stuff and making it just blow up? It ain't clever, it's stupid. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by this unit that target an enemy hero or wizard. Then idiots with flags. Why do these runts think you can stake a claim with a posh flag? It don't mean nothing. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by this unit that target an enemy totem unit or with any command models. Any plus my word, that's good. Wannabes. They think that being as big as us makes them just as fighty. Time to cut them down to size. I'd want to hit rolls that target war machines or monsters. Right, the Breaker Tribe command traits. Extremely bitter. Pick another Fierce Loathing that applies just to your general. And sees red. In the combat phase, if this general is within 3 inches of a defensible terrain feature, they use the top row of their damage table regardless. Or an enemy unit that's wholly on an objective. That's interesting. Regardless of how many wounds they've suffered. And then the artifacts of power. The Great Wrecker. Gatebreaker only. For a modified hit roll with the bearer's Fort Crusher Flyer 6, it causes D3 mortal wounds in addition to any other damage. And the Kinslaughter Cowl. Those who wear this handed down leather hood make it their business to crush upstart monarchs and warlords across the realms. Add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made by the bearer against an enemy hero. And then Smasher Tribe. I built my first one. I built as a war. Oh no, not as a Smasher. War Stopper. Hold that thought. It's the Smasher Tribe. Bone crunching strikes. Friendly Mancrusher gargants. If it's within 3 inches of a monster, you can say it will unleash a bone crushing strike. It has its massive club attack characteristic goes down to 1 and cannot be modified, but the damage characteristic is 4d6. All of its attacks with its massive club must target the same monster. Don't let a few cuts stop you. The beast smashers are so deranged they just keep running forward and ignore all the little things at their feet, just going straight for the big thing. So they often tend to bleed out. You can just command ability to start the combat phase. The command can only be issued by a general. Must go to a Mancrusher Gargant unit. Regardless of how many wounds it's suffered, it uses the top row. In addition, until the end of that phase, each time a model of that unit is slain that has not yet fought in that phase, the model can fight before it is removed from play. Nasty. Smash the Tribe command traits. Sees green. Apparently sometimes their eyes go green. They're that hopped up on Gorka Morka. Once per battle at the start of the phase, you can say the general is Gorka Morka made manifest. Sometimes they believe they're Gorka Morka. They're noodle doodle. If you do so, the general has a ward save of 4+ against mortal wounds until the end of that phase. Quite even being hacked at by Lumineth, and I'm like, yeah, alright. I is a god now. Some metal weapons clanging off it. I've just reviewed the Lumineth book, that's why it's in my head. Marrow Drinker. Every time an enemy monster is slain, roll the number of dice equal to the monster's wound characteristic. For each 5+, you can heal a wound allocated to this general. So just like Bone Splitters, he drinks the marrow of his enemies. Oh! Smash the Tribe artifacts of power. The Shatterer. The tip on this menhir has been whittled into a razor-sharp point capable of sundering enemy armour in a single blow. Targets an enemy monster, hero or war machine. The hit roll is a 6. The unit's armour has been shattered. Until the end of the battle, ignore positive modifiers to save rolls for attacks that target that unit. So you can't all out defend. Is that it? I guess if you've got a rule that says rather than your save being 3, you've got a 4+ save and a rule that says shield +1 to saves, I guess you wouldn't get the shield. And then Mantle of Tusks and Horns. Once per battle start the combat phase, you can say that the bearer will channel the War. Add 1 to hit rolls by melee weapons by friendly Sons of Behemat units until the end of the phase. Okay, so he can call a War. And all your Gargants get +1 to hit. All of them. Sons of Behemat, not Mancrushers, all of them. Oh my word. Oh my word. Now, the Stomper Tribe. This is what I've got. Well, I haven't painted them yet, but... Okay, battle traits. Big shouts. After your general issues a command to a friendly Mancrusher Gargant unit, until the end of the phase, they can issue the same command to any other friendly Mancrusher Gargant units without a further command point being spent. Oh, all that attack. All of you. Grab those rocks and chuck them. You can use this command ability at the start of your shooting phase. The unit that receives the command ability must be a friendly Mancrusher Gargant unit. To the end of that phase, add +1 to the attack's characteristic under the throw-in rocks. The unit's throw-in rocks. Get stuck in. Add 1 to the damage inflicted by each successful attack made by a Mancrusher if it targets a unit that has 10 to 19 models. or 2 to the attacks if it targets a unit that has 20 or more models. Oh no, 2 to the damage characteristic. Okay. So it's massive sweeps of big weapony things. Command traits. Inescapable grip. When you use the general's hurled body ability, you can reroll both dice rolls. I guess we'll see what that is in a bit. Eager for the fight. You can attempt to charge with this general if it's within 18 inches of an enemy unit instead of 12, and roll 3d6 instead of 2. Right, Stomper Tribe Artifacts of Power. Clubber the First Oak. This immense club heals and invigorates the bearer even beyond the point of their demise, providing they keep it in their grip at all times. War Stomper only. In your hero phase, you can heal 1 wound allocated to the bearer. In addition, while the bearer has 25 more wounds allocated to them, they have a ward save of 5+. Nice. Mantle of the Destroyer. Friendly Sons of Behemat units within 12 inches have a bravery characteristic of 10. That could be handy. There we go. Now, skipping over the Path to Glory stuff, as I always do, we have a battle plan, The Wrath of King Brod. And this is a battle plan all about knocking down the walls of a settlement, because King Brod just really hates Sigmar and wants to smash everything to bits. Victory points. The defender scores D6 victory points each time a mega-gargant is slain, and D3 when a Mancrusher gargant is slain. The attacker scores 4d6 victory points if King Brod enters the settlement, 3d6 for each mega-gargant, and 3d3 for each Mancrusher. Alright. Note to self, that sounds fun. Alright, now, so there was talk earlier of gargants and acting as mercenaries. So there are some rules in here for this. Basically, I mean, the gist is you can take a mega-gargant in an army of specific types without it upsetting all the keywords stuff. I won't go through all the details, but and these are named. So there's Odo Godswallow, the Beast Smasher, Bundo Whalebiter, the Kraken Eater, Old One-Eye Grundok, the War Stomper, and Big Drock Fork Kicker, the Gatebreaker. I think I'd have liked to see something around the maybe with Mancrushers, not just Megas, but the Beast Smasher can be taken as a mercenary in a destruction army. The Kraken Eater in either an order or destruction army. There's a thing in the narrative, it talks about people actually chatting with Kraken Eaters. The War Stomper either in chaos or destruction, and the Gatebreaker either in death or destruction. So whichever faction you got, if you want to, this book allows you to take a mega-gargant as a mercenary ally. I don't know if that was in there already. I've seen people's collections of Flesh Eater courts with zombie sort of undead type giants. That maybe suggests to me that this is already a thing, but I think it's quite cool. Right. Now we are on to the profiles. So, quick drink. Alright, King Broad. King Broad has 40 wounds, with a 4+ save and a bravery of 9. His move starts at 10 and bottoms out at 8 as it degrades. The Obelisk of Torcrania is his big hissy weapon. Its attacks degrade, starts at 4, ends at 2. Hits on a 3, wounds on a 3, -2 rend, 5 damage, flat. Almighty Stomp, 2 attacks, 3+3 +-2 D3. Death Grip, 1, 3 +2 +-2 D6. He has the War Master rule, so if he's included in your army, he is treated as a general, even if he is not. Sorry, I'm just getting confused over the unique keyword because I'm not. Right, okay. King Broad, Kragnos. Yes, okay. Sorry, ignore me. I was expecting to see unique in the keywords because of the thing it mentioned earlier about attacking unique models. Forget I spoke. So he counts as being your general even if he's not your general. Almighty Stomp. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with the unit's Almighty Stomp at the target's an enemy unit with wounds characteristic of 3 or less. Almighty Stomp. A few units have Almighty Stomp. The Creepers. These are the tiny little red things. Riding on top of King Broad, these dexterous creatures will leap upon enemy predators, gouging out eyes, pulling hair, and doing anything they can to distract them whilst King Broad deals a killing blow. In each charge phase, the first enemy monster within 3 inches of this unit is picked to carry out a monstrous rampage. Roll a dice. If the roll is equal to or greater than the Creeper's value shown on the table, the monster cannot carry out the monstrous rampage. So if he's uninjured, the Creeper value is 2+. If he's on his uppers, it is 5+. So, stopping monstrous rampages against him. Crushing Charge. After he makes a charge move, on a 2+ D3 mortal wounds on a D3 mortal wounds against a monster, D6 against non-monsters. Death Grip. When determining the damage inflicted by the unit's Death Grip, if it's a monster, roll 2 dice instead of 1 and pick the highest. So roll 2d6, pick the highest. Longshanks. When this unit makes a normal move, runs or retreats, it can pass over other models that are not monsters and parts of terrain that are less than 4 inches tall in the same manner that a unit that can fly. So it steps over them. Sons of Behemat. If an ability would cause a model to be slain, it only does d6 damage to one of these guys. Terror. Enemy units cannot receive inspiring presence whilst within 3 inches. Timber. If this model is slain, before removing the model from the battlefield, the players must roll off. The winner picks a point on the battlefield 5 inches from the slain model. Each unit within 3 inches of that point that is not a mega-gargant suffers D3 mortal wounds. It falls over, and you dice off to see which direction it goes. That way, that way, that way, that way, that way. No! Splat. Power of Behemat. So this is, yes, he's a priest. Power of Behemat is a prayer with an answer value of 3. Add 1 to chanting rolls if an enemy monster has been slain by this unit in battle. If answered, pick one of the following abilities. These are good. Add 2 to the move characteristic of friendly Sons of Behemat units until the end of the turn. The Shatterer of Mountains, that is. The Might of the Earth. You can heal up to D3 wounds allocated to each friendly Sons of Behemat unit. Each. And Pummel all to dust. Improve the rend characteristic of the following melee weapons used by friendly Sons of Behemat units by 1 until the end of their turn. Obelisk of Torcrania, Menhir Club, Shipwrecker War Club, Titanic Boulder Club, Fort Crusher Flail, and Massive Club. All the clubs get their rend improves by 1. That is King Broad and it is an awesome, awesome model. And I am very, very torn on whether I should do King Brod for my next one, because I've had the War Stomper, and you'll possibly have seen the unboxing video at a similar time to this, the unboxing of King Brod. So I've got one more to do. I don't know which to do. I really don't know which to do. I want to do all of them. Don't we all? Okay, so Beast Smasher. 35 wounds, 4+ save, bravery of 8. Move starts at 10, ends at 8. I think, is the move going to be the same for all of them? Yeah, the move's the same for all of them, so I won't go back over that. The Menhir Club. 3 attacks, 3+2+5 damage. Rend. Depends on his wounds. Full wounds is -3. When he's knackered, it's -1. Oh, Mightier makes Rightier. I do apologise. With King Brod, it starts at 25 and ends at 15. With all the others, it starts at 20 and ends at 12. So even if it's taken 34 damage, then it still counts as 12 models on an objective minimum. Almighty Stomp is the same for all of them, I think. Yeah, Almighty Stomp's the same. Death Grip is also the same. So it has the Almighty Stomp rule. And Crushing Charge, that is the same. Death Grip is the same. Longshanks is the same. Sons of Behemat is the same. Terror is the same. Timber is the same. So the ones that it's got that are unique, the Beast Breaking Strike. If it's within 3 inches of an enemy monster, you can say that it's going to only do 1 attack with its Menhir Club, which cannot be modified, but the damage characteristic is 5d6. So, statistically slightly better. If you hit with all 3 attacks under normal circumstances, the most you can do is 15 damage. If you successfully wound with that, the average roll on a single d6 is 3.5. So 3.5 times 5 is 15 plus 2.5, 17.5 wounds on average. Got a hit though. Got a wound though. Got to get past their armour. But it's cool, isn't it? And then the last one, Behemoth Brawler. At the end of the charge phase, if a unit has been 3 each of the monsters, you can carry out 2 monstrous rampages instead of 1. They must be different, and they must target an enemy monster. Sorry. Right, War Stomper. 35 wounds, 4+ save. Bravery is 7. I think the Beast Smasher has a slightly higher bravery because he's insane. Titanic Boulder Club is different, and it doesn't have Almighty Stomp. It has Jump Up and Down, but it has Death Grip, which is the same. So, Titanic Boulder Club. The attack characteristic of a Titanic Boulder Club is equal to the number of enemy models within 3 inches of the attacking model. Add the Titanic Boulder Club value on the table to the total to a maximum of 10. So the Titanic Boulder Club bonus starts at +4 and ends at 1 because it degrades. So in theory, if you're at full capacity, if you've got 6 models within 3 inches of you, you've got 10 attacks. Hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, -2 rend, only 2 damage. But it's a massive swing rather than a big thump. Jump Up and Down. 4 attacks, 3+3 plus -2 d3 damage. Add 1 to hit rolls if you're targeting models that have a wound characteristic of 3 or less. So very similar to Almighty Stomp. Crushing Charge is the same, so is Death Grip, so is Longshanks, Terror, Timber, Sons of Behemat. Hurled Body. After this unit makes a piling move, pick an enemy model within 3 inches and roll a dice. Add the hold body modifier on the table to the roll. Starts at +2, ends at 0. If the roll is at least double the wound characteristic, it is slain and you can roll another dice. On a 4+, pick an enemy unit within 12 inches and visible to it. The unit suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the wound characteristic of the slain model. So, if you... So let's say you pick something up with a wound characteristic of 1. You roll a dice and add a number to it. If the roll is at least double, so in this instance 2, then it dies. And on a 4+, you can do 1 mortal wound to a unit within 12 inches as you hurl their corpse at it. At the other end of the spectrum, you pick a unit with a wound characteristic of 4. Roll a dice. On a 6 with the +2 for hurled body, you get 8, which is double, meaning you then kill that model. And on a 4+, you can hurl it as an enemy unit and do 4 mortal wounds to it. That's nice. Nothing gross, but it's a nice little thing. I'm not overwhelmed with this guy's stats. Some of the others have made me kind of choke, but that's kind of cool. I don't want them to be too gross. I want to still have friends after I've used them. It's like the old Imperial Knights in 40k conundrum, isn't it? Okay, Kraken Eater. 35, 4+ save, 7 bravery. Hurled debris is a ranged attack. The range is degrade, starts at 24, ends at 15. 3 attacks, 4+3 +(-1) d3. Shipwrecker Club has a degrading number of attacks, starts at 4, ends at 2. 3+3 +(-2), 4 damage. Almighty Stomp and Death Grip. So, ones that we already know about: Almighty Stomp, Crushing Charge, Death Grip, Longshank, Sons of Behemat, and Terror and Timber. So we also have Get Off My Land! Kraken Eater mega-gargants hate intruders and trespassers, and they do not take kindly to people who decide to fight battles on their land. In your hero phase, if any friendly units with this ability are on the battlefield and within 1 inch of an objective that you control, pick one of those units and say it will kick one objective that is within 1 inch of it away. If you do so, you can move the objective up to 2d6 to a new position on the battlefield, more than 1 inch away from any models, terrain features or objectives. Designers note, as some objectives behave differently in different areas of the battlefield, the value of an objective can change when it's kicked into different territories. So that you move objectives. Okay. Okay. And then stuff them in my net. After the unit makes a piling move, pick up to D3 enemy models within 3 inches and roll a dice for each. If the roll is at least double that model's wounds characteristic, it is slain. Okay, so 1 wound models, you're going to kill 2 or 3 of them. 2 wound models, 1 or 2. But they get stuffed in my net. Right, now the Gatebreaker. Hurled Boulder. The range degrades on the hurled boulder. Starts at 18, finishes at 9. 1 attack, 3+2 +(-3), 4 damage. So it's not so much of a boulder, more a massive, massive hunk of rock. I approve. Fort Crusher Flail. Attacks degrade. Starts at 6, ends at 3. 4+. That's not a lot. I'm going to guess that he's got a rule that makes it easier to hit buildings and terrain features. Or units in terrain features. 4+3 +(-3), 4 damage. Almighty Stomp and Death Grip. So he's got Almighty Stomp, Crushing Charge, Death Grip, Longshanks, Sons of Behemat, Terror and Timber. But he also has Pulverizing Strike, When this unit fights, you can say it will unleash a pulverizing strike. If you do so, instead of making attacks with this unit's melee weapons, pick one enemy unit within 3 inches and roll a dice. On a 4+, that enemy unit suffers 4d6 mortal wounds. When facing a particularly tough opponent, a Gatebreaker may swing its Fort Crusher flail high into the air before bringing it down into a single pulverizing strike. Then smash down. Add 1 to the damage characteristic of the unit's Fort Crusher flail for attacks that target an enemy unit that's in cover or garrisoning a terrain feature. So not a bonus to hit, but more damage. In addition, if you carry out the Smash to Rubble Monstrous Rampage, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches of the terrain feature picked and the unit garrisoning it. On a 2+, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. I like that. So they're the mega-gargants. We've now got the Mancrushers. So okay, so I'm going to do this. So there's 2 options here. One is a Mancrusher mob, and another is a single Mancrusher gargant. So I'm going to do the single one first. Move of 8, wounds of 12, 5+ save, bravery of 7. So 5+ save. They're not that impervious. Missile weapon, throwing rocks, 18-inch range, 1 attack, 4+ to hit, 3+ to wound, -1 rend, D3 damage. Massive club is degrading, starts with 4 attacks, ends in 1. 3+3 +1, 2 damage. Headbutt, 1 attack, 4+3 -3, degrading, starting at 4, ending at 1. I sound like I'm reading the shipping forecast. And Mighty Kick, 1 attack, 3+3 +2, D3. Okay, the special rules. So keep up. If the unit's wholly within 15 inches of a mega-gargant, it can attempt to charge in the charge phase even if it ran in the same turn. In case they can keep up with the mega-gargants. Stomp in charge. After this unit makes a charge move, pick an enemy unit and roll a dice. If the roll is equal to or greater than the Stomp in charge value, the enemy suffers D3 mortal wounds. The Stomp in charge starts at 2+ and ends at 5+. Then stuff them in my bag. Pick 1 model within 3 inches after you pile in. Roll a dice. If it's at least double the wound characteristic, it's slain. Timber. Roll off. Pick a point on the battlefield. Units within 2 inches suffer D3 mortal wounds if they're not a gargant or a mega-gargant. Okay. Right, now in the Mancrusher mob, pins and needles. Throwing rocks are the same, so is the Massive Club and the Headbutt and the Mighty Kick. Stomping Charge, yeah, they're all the same. What is different? Champion. 1 model in the unit can be a Bull Stomper. Add 1 to the attack characteristic of that model's Massive Club. But because they are a champion, they can issue orders. So, I think the points are the same for... Yeah, it's 150 for a single one or 450 for a unit of 3. But the advantage of them being in a mob is that they can issue orders to themselves. And an extra attack, I suppose. Monstrous Regiment. Only the Bull Stomper in this unit can carry out a Monstrous Rampage each turn. Okay, that's a disadvantage. Keep up, Stomping Charge, stuff them in a bag, Timber. Ooze under the eel now. Galvanizing their fellow gargants with blunt yet fiery rhetoric, the Bull Stomper directs those under their command to stomp, smash, and roar in unison. If you carry out the Stomp Monstrous Rampage for this unit's Bull Stomper, roll a 2d6 for each other mega-gargant in the unit and add 1 to the number of mortal wounds caused. Okay, so if you've got a unit of 3, it's D3 plus 2. And that, folks, is it, except for the pitch battle profiles. Allies, none. Mancrusher Gargants, 150. Mancrusher Mob, 450, unit of 3. Beast Smasher Gargant and Gatebreakers both come in at 520 points. King Broad is 580. Kraken Eater is 490. War Stomper is 450. Typical, I've built the cheap one. And Kragnos, as one would expect, is 720. I like the look of these so much. They're so cool. But I don't know how they're going to play. I'm nervous that they will have the same problem as Imperial Knights do in 40k. But I guess I'll find out. They look so much fun. If nothing else, they look fun. Funnity fun. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found it informative. Shout out to my channel members and Patreons for your ongoing support. You guys are awesome. It is very much appreciated. If you want to support me, different ways of doing it. One of which, if you're about to rush out and buy a load of Gargants, if you use one of the affiliate links in the description of this video, I get commission, which is nice. Channel memberships are ways of getting access to the community Discord and the exclusive members-only content, which is battle reports and hobby vlogs. And on that happy note, take care, everyone, and happy stomping. Bye for now.